Hello everyone. You might notice there's a lot of Spider-Man stuff on this table. You got two of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, not all three of them. None of the Andrew Garfield crap. Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Verse, and this amazing video game. There's also this
Spider-Man cups.
Yes. Now tell me, Justin, why are we sitting here with all this Spider-Man stuff?
We're talking about Midsummer.
Oh yeah, that's right.
No,
Yeah.
Stop it.
Spider-Man Far From Home is the 23rd MCU movie, the first one that came after Avengers Endgame, and also a sequel to Spider-Man Homecoming, in which this particular story takes place at an undisclosed time after Avengers Endgame, but it definitely takes place after that, in which you see Peter Parker and his close friends from high school back in school because they were among the people that were snapped away when that very eventful thing happened in Infinity War. And this movie definitely deals with that event, but more importantly, it's a story about Peter Parker trying to cope with the loss of Tony Stark at the end of Avengers Endgame, trying to live up to the mantle that he left behind, while also new threats are coming up, the likes of which we will be talking about in this spoiler-filled discussion of Spider-Man Far From Home. If you have not seen the movie, go ahead and close out this review. Watch the film first and then come back because we are going to be talking about some pretty major details here.
You've been warned. I thought it was cool. I actually really enjoyed this movie. I got nervous when the trailers were like, let's make Mysterio a good guy. He'll be Spider-Man's buddy. There was enough where you were like, okay, he's still going to be a bad guy because he's been a classic bad guy of Spider-Man's. But it was also like, this is Marvel. They could change this into a good guy. So I got worried about this movie. But I'm here to tell you that my worst fears were never realized. He ended up being a bad guy, and it was pretty good. I liked Jake Gyllenhaal in this movie.
Jake Gyllenhaal's a beast. And apparently there is an actual romance between the two of them, not a so-called bromance as they like to call it. Have you seen those memes?
No.
Like, both Jake Gyllenhaal and Tom Holland have gone back and forth on social media about how, no, it's not a bromance, guys. I'm actually in love with him. I should also say that I really enjoyed this movie, too. I think I liked Spider-Man Homecoming better, which I know that's different to other people. I know there have been a lot of other people who've said they like Far From Home more than this one, but they're both good movies. And, definitely Jake Gyllenhaal is one of those big reasons why. It's kind of interesting because I actually read that after Tobey Maguire had this pretty bad accident after the original Spider-Man, it was rumored that Jake Gyllenhaal was going to take over from Tobey Maguire for Spider-Man 2 and 3 and stuff. And I think that's a lot of the reason is because he's a big fan of the character. So it's cool that he actually is in a Spider-Man movie at this point, and you can tell that with the energy that he brings to the role and the fun that he was having playing Mysterio, it comes across, and it made for a really fun character.
What's funny about Mysterio is, leading up to the movie, there's a bunch of different little hints that I didn't piece together until Mysterio actually happened, and I watched the movie and then I got home and read some online stuff. But Earth, when he goes, I'm from Earth 616, that's the comic book in the multiverse of the Spider-Man or the Marvel multiverse. Earth 616 is the comic book dimension, which is really interesting. And I know that the Marvel Universe has some number attached. I don't remember. I should have looked it up. But it was funny. He says, I'm from Earth 616. And so if I'd have known that before, I'd have been like, he's lying. He's lying. But
He's doped us.
He really plays it up. I like Jake Gyllenhaal because he plays the role of a bro, if that makes sense. Because Peter Parker in this movie, he's like, I don't want to be Spider-Man. I just want to go on my summer trip and be with MJ and tell her that I like her and blah, 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 blah. So he doesn't really want to be Spider-Man, but he gets kind of forced to be Spider-Man by Nick Fury, which was funny. But, Jake Gyllenhaal's like, hey, bro, I'm your bro. Let's be friends. And they end up being friends, and then he's like, why don't you have the... Speaking of which, there's, the whole thing of this movie, the linchpin, is that Tony Stark leaves behind these glasses called Edith for Peter Parker, which lets him into anything that's Stark related, really.
Pretty much.
Anyway, it helps him scan stuff, and basically the long and short of the movie is that Mysterio tricks Spider-Man into giving these glasses to Mysterio so that he can use drones to make a big illusion so that he can win the trust of the Avengers and the world government so he can be the next Iron Man but also be a bad guy, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that Jake Gyllenhaal. That being said, I liked how Jake Gyllenhaal was like, bro, I'll be your friend. And Peter Parker's like, dude, you're my friend. Have the glasses. You can be the superhero, and I'll go back and be regular man. And then immediately after, Mysterio's like, boom, I'm a villain.
And it pretty much opens up to like kind of a frat party and that like.
Right.
And what town were they in at that point? Was that Prague?
Prague, yeah.
Yeah. It was funny. I do like the angle to his character though. Like, and someone commented. I saw it somewhere on Facebook, I think it was a meme or something, but like, in both Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home, it's interesting how in both situations, Spider-Man has had to deal with people that have basically been wronged by Tony Stark. Like Vulture,
Right.
you know, his whole entire who knows how many dollars operation was ripped from him from damage control and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so Spider-Man had to deal with that. And then in this movie, it's all a bunch of people that worked for Tony but never got the credit. And it's like, at this point, like, Peter Parker is basically cleaning up Tony's mess.
Right.
Which is funny because he looks up to Tony, and now he's trying to be Tony, but like, I don't know.
It's funny.
It's
I
fascinating.
know. I noticed that too. I was like, man, every Spider-Man villain is just gonna be some disgruntled Stark Industries employee that's so angry about it. What's funny is that they pulled the guy that was in the original Iron Man. The guy that Obadiah Stane yells at, he's like,
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not Tony Stark.
And the funny thing too, that guy was actually, I think we might have talked about this already, but that guy was Ralphie from A Christmas Story.
Yeah, I know. I was like, hey, what's he doing here?
He's gonna shoot his eye out.
Right. That was a funny part in the movie theater. I was like, what the?
It's Ralphie!
Yeah.
A part about Peter Parker that I thought was really interesting that you already brought up is how, like, he just wants to do his teenager thing, but he keeps getting pulled away. The thing that I thought of when I watched the movie is, like, that's basically how celebrities are, I think.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of celebrities who are clearly, you know, completely infatuated with, like, being idolized by society, but I like to think there are a lot of actors and musicians who kind of just want to do their own thing and kind of forget that fans exist.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting because, like, Spider-Man is almost like the embodiment of that. He's someone who wants to lead his own life, but keeps getting pulled away by these other influences and can't get what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
That's at the core of his character, really. I mean,
Yeah.
someone who can never really fully commit to himself. And I think that's a nice little spin on it because he's constantly being pulled by Nick Fury. Why are you ghosting me? And then
Which I thought was funny.
and then that jerk Asian kid who tries to keep keep MJ from him.
Yes. I think it's interesting. What's the best? I think Stan Lee said it. And I don't have the exact quote, but like Spider-Man embodies what it is to be like normal. Like if you look at Spider-Man's character, he's not some mythical he's not a person from Norse mythology. He's not from the army. He's not a multi-billionaire. He's just like a normal guy that, like, if you look at him before Tony Stark finds him, he's wearing pajamas. Pretty much.
Yeah, more or less.
And Tony makes fun of his suit, but that's neither here nor there. He's not liquid. He gets evicted from his apartment. Like, in Spider-Man PS4, remember? He gets evicted from his apartment. He loses his job. And he still
Girlfriend troubles?
And he has girlfriend troubles. Like, he's still a normal guy, but he also is like, he's been to space. He associates with all the cool superheroes. He has all these normal guy problems, but he's also like at the forefront mostly of all of the Marvel like teams, and he's an integral part of everybody of the Marvel cinematic universe. So it's like, it's funny watching his duality, being the superhero and being just like a normal guy who has all sorts of problems.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what endears him to me, at least.
No, that is endearing. I mean, that's why I loved that game so much. I mean, the game's not perfect, but like the story's possibly one of the best parts about it.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because it just nails down what like his personal problems are, which I think come through in Far From Home as well. And also really thought the relationship between him and MJ was pretty endearing in this one.
Yeah.
I like that in this movie compared to Homecoming. I think MJ and portrayed by Zendaya is more down to earth. In the other movie, you can tell she was kind of just like a side character there for laughs, who would say like the snarky loner comments.
Why are you here? You don't even have detention.
Oh, I know. I just like coming here to sketch people in crisis. It's you.
But yeah, in Far From Home, I feel like her personality is a bit more, I don't want to say human, because I mean, it definitely was there in the other movie, but like...
She gets more screen time in this one,
yes.
I think. But she's more of a focus, which I liked.
And I think the compatibility between those actors, but also the characters, is really there.
Yeah.
Which made me believe there were romance and get wrapped up in it too.
Right. I thought all the side characters in this one worked pretty well. The only one that I really didn't understand was Happy and Aunt May. I was like,
yeah,
what's going on here?
I mean, clearly it was supposed to be weird, but...
Yeah, it was weird. It was really weird. And I was like, that's...
It wasn't weird in a way that worked, I don't think.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. They want... Happy has to be relevant now that Tony's gone and he's not really going to be in an Iron Man movie. Well, maybe he will.
It'd be dumb if he was.
Who knows if Jon Favreau is actually going to make another appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But, like, it was just weird that Aunt May and him were dating. That's probably my thing with this movie. I was like, what the... what is that? And I also felt like, kind of like Nick Fury and Maria Hill were kind of accessories. Like, they were there for their couple scenes, but then after that, they felt kind of like, I don't know, like Nick Fury's supposed to be like the super spy, and he totally gets the wool pulled over his head. Like, he doesn't think to figure out, hey, let's see if this Mysterio guy actually came from here. Let's do a Google search. Do anything to figure out if he's actually an extra-dimensional person. Like, he just kind of bought it. I mean, it makes sense after seeing the post-credit scene.
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, we gotta talk about that.
It makes sense after that, but also it's like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. That part, I was like, if the real Nick Fury were there, he probably would have caught on, and this would have been nipped in the bud at like the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, he's a pretty good critical thinker, the actual Nick Fury.
Yeah, so yes. There's also that Nick Fury wasn't Nick Fury the whole time. The post-credit scenes were pretty good in this one, actually. I really liked them.
Yeah, they actually had like an impact on the story.
Right.
Although, I can't remember who said this, but like, someone we work with argued that like the first post-credit scene for the movie should have been like at the actual end of the movie instead of a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Because the other one, apart from like Nick Fury and Maria Hill actually being the Skrulls, one of them being Talos, the other scene show
I don't get it.
is like at the tail end of Spider-Man swinging MJ around, and then he goes and does his thing after he drops MJ.
Yeah.
And then
J.K. Simmons!
the man himself, J. Jonah. That
was great.
That did everything for me. It was incredible.
Thumbs up, 100% A-OK in my book. It was wonderful.
And I like that he wasn't just some newspaper man either. He actually seemed like he was either some type of news anchor or like a web host or something.
Yeah, it's like in PS4 where he had a podcast.
Yeah.
Remember? Like, I like that they've upgraded with the times, if that makes sense. They've kind of, instead of a newspaper, it's now like a website or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it makes another appearance, because that was wonderful, by the way.
I feel like he would do it. He would do it.
Yeah, I think he would. And it would be funny, and
Yeah.
I would pay to see that movie. The other thing I have about this movie is, I was so ready to give up on Marvel after Endgame. I was like, all my characters are gone.
Well, it was a great resolution.
I'm okay with just leaving Marvel alone now, and I'll come back and visit. but I don't have to see all of them. And then I saw the post-credits scene, I'm like, I have to see all the other ones to find out what the heck is going on now.
Well, yeah, because J. Jonah Jameson reveals Peter Parker's identity.
To the world.
And then Peter Parker's like,
what the? Yes.
And it's like, we've never seen that in a Spider-Man movie before, so it's a daring move. I like it.
The only time that I know of that has ever been revealed is during the Civil War timeline where Spider-Man unmasked for everybody. It's only happened like once in any media with Spider-Man, so I'll be interested to see where it goes.
Well, it's also a nice parallel to like when Iron Man, going back to the whole Iron Man thing, revealed himself to be Tony Stark at the end of the original movie. It's like, he did that, because he felt confident in it. And now that Spider-Man's trying to be the new Tony, it's kind of funny that what happens to him is someone else does it.
Yeah,
and
it actually is through black arts wizardry with Mysterio, which one of our coworkers is dead set believing that Mysterio is still alive.
It's possible.
I think he's still alive.
He drank to that.
Thumbs up.
I'll drink to it too. You don't know there's nothing in here.
He's still alive. He's a master of illusion.
Most of the positives I would have said about this movie, I would have already said. I mean, the writing's on point, the performances, the impact on the story. Like, I think in terms of the core things that a movie should do, like storytelling and acting, this movie's good.
Mm-hmm.
But I still feel like there could be a lot more that Marvel could do to up the ante with their visuals and their audio. The Marvel movies are generally good because they have good characters and the writing is on point. But the director, Jon Watts, I don't feel did enough with his visuals to make it interesting to look at. Like, just with how they film certain scenes, how they're very flat looking. Like the transitions between characters when you're doing like shot at this actor and then reverse shot to this actor. I don't know, it's very standard.
Yeah.
And I feel like with a superhero movie that has a lot of money behind it, and especially with that much visual effects work, they should have done more to make the film look more real, I guess. And I think I felt that more, especially in the CGI action sequences, because those definitely came across as very fake to me. I don't know if it did to anyone else, but that's how I felt.
Well, now that you point that out, the parts with Molten Man and Hydra Man, I was like,
yeah.
I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong. They're better than your garbage man's, poor man's VFX on like YouTube or something.
I mean, the CGI work is still great.
The CGI is good, but I think I agree with you. Especially since we've had like CGI work from like Endgame and Infinity War. And,
incredible.
And ones that have been pretty good. Like Ragnarok was really good. Ant-Man's another one that the CGI work in Ant-Man is phenomenal. Say what you want about Ant-Man. The visuals in that one are really good.
Mm-hmm. They find a way to make those movies real, I think.
Yeah. I agree with you on that.
Movies are a visual medium, and I think you need both visuals and good storytelling in order to make something that is like top tier cinema. That's why Spider-Verse was so great, because the writing was on point, but
the visuals in Spider-Verse were...
It is literally a living comic book.
It's amazing.
If they could find a way to do that in live action, I don't know if they could, but if they did, that'd be something.
They'd bring the house down. I mean, that would change the way that comic book movies are done. Really. Overall, though, I think that this did what it was supposed to do. I am a little bit miffed. We were talking about this earlier, but I'm a little miffed that the trailer... Remember how I had that part with the Iron Spider where he was stopping like the gang in the restaurant? Mm-hmm. I'm a little miffed that wasn't in the movie. That was pretty cool. I feel like if they'd add that, it would have set off the pacing and it would have been a cool action scene to add to the final product, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it would have been cool. Like Justin was saying, there's a scene in the trailer that has the Iron Spider taking out a bunch of thugs in his Iron Spider suit with the insta-kill arms.
Activate insta-kill!
But, it was just there for the trailer, I think, and they didn't actually make it in the movie. But needless to say, I agree with Justin. It's a good movie. Personally, for my grade, I'm going to give it a B. Like, a solid movie. Very well made, and I think it has a good screenplay, good actors in the performances in them, especially Jake Gyllenhaal and Tom Holland. I just think that the visuals could use a little bit more work in making the film have a bit more personality, because it does have kind of like I don't want to say a bland look, but it doesn't really have that exciting cinematic feel that other superhero movies do nowadays. But yeah, still, I liked it. It was good.
I think I would hang it around like an 8 out of 10.
Okay, cool.
I will say one of my favorite scenes of this whole movie is when they're in the jet and he's making the advanced suit, and Happy plays Back in Black,
Oh, yeah.
which was amazing in the theater.
Yeah.
Because it has a good subwoofer. But you watch it and he's like, I love Led Zeppelin, which is really funny. But also when you watch it, you start looking at him try stuff and everything, and he starts flipping stuff around and try this and that, blah blah blah, and you start to see parallels of Tony Stark in the first Iron Man.
Yep.
When he's making the first Iron Man suit, and he's like,
Oh yeah, I thought of that too.
and then when he's like spinning stuff around with his hand, with his finger, he spins around the spider symbol. It's just, it was a nice homage because it was like him stepping into the role of Iron Man,
Well, again, one of the major themes of the movie.
which
So
was good. Yeah,
They kept that as a through line throughout, which was cool.
which I really liked that part though. I love Led Zeppelin, and I was just like, nice.
And also the scene before when he gets out of the
jail.
the jail. Everyone's nice to him.
Oh
Where
yeah,
are we?
we're in jail.
Well, no, it's the part where they're like talking about the Netherlands and stuff.
Yeah, he stops with the guy. Hey, can I borrow your cell phone? Yeah, you can have it. Definitely entertaining.
Yeah.
Good times. You need to watch it. It's really good. You're also gonna need to find out what the heck is going on with freaking the Skrulls being Nick Fury and Maria Hill the whole movie, and then you find out that Nick Fury is in some space station place. Apparently, it's there's a name for it. It's called SWORD. It's Earth's way to deal with extraterrestrial threats or something that's headed by Nick Fury.
Huh.
I don't know about it. I haven't read that much into it, but supposedly he's at SWORD. They're gonna start SWORD.
Well, we'll find out more about it in a future movie, I guess. Thanks for watching this review. It was fun to do another Marvel review with my friend Justin here. He'll be back pretty soon because we're going to be talking about Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. And by then, Jared will actually be back.
Jared will be back.
Or at least we hope. Yes.
We know he's not dead. He's talked to us. But we need him back.
Yes, but he'll be here, and then we'll continue our Star Wars discussions from there, and then we'll find out what else we can do these roundtable reviews on, because these are fun.
Yeah. I agree.
I think they're fun, don't you?
Yes, I do.
If you like this content, please check out my Facebook, Letterboxd, and Instagram pages that are linked below in the description.
I don't have any of those. I have Facebook.
Well, then you should follow them.
Yeah, but
You'll find content there you can't find here on my channel.
oh my gosh.
Otherwise, thank you for watching. Thank you to Justin for being here. And y'all have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.